Banished from Earth Classic Game Room broadcasts from the Intergalactic Space Arcade on its never-ending mission to review everything. Stupid ass food. Good morning, nice Ian's guys to drop by for the review of the COLECOVISION Super Action Controller. Look at this thing. It's the controller I would bring to a bar fight in Mos Eisley. But can it play games? Let's find out. Damn, that thing's strong. Just like my coffee. This is the standard COLECOVISION controller, the one that came with the COLECOVISION that looks like a telephone, the one everyone has, the average controller. And do you want to be average, or do you want to be super action COLECOVISION controller person? User number one. I want to be that one. Well, at least I did until I used it. But more on that later. This is the coolest looking controller I've ever seen. It has a handguard, which means they were anticipating game rage. You can punch out your opponents with the controller, strike fear into the hearts of your enemies, and then lose the game because it's actually not as good as the standard controller. It's true, it's a really awkward joystick, but definitely one that you should own, if for no other reason than you can start a bar fight with it. This is the controller you bring when those kids are having a PS3 versus Xbox 360 argument, and you want to punch out both of them. The COLECOVISION wins! I like that this thing also resembles a Star Trek phaser. If Khan were playing COLECOVISION, he'd be using this. While I would be using the Atari 7800 gamepad because it's actually way better, but this definitely looks the part. But does it deserve the name Super Action Controller? I gave this thing a nice road test, starting out with one of my favorite COLECOVISION games, Gorf. While this thing is totally functional, it's just kind of awkward. The way that you hold it is strange. This is back from the early 80s, before they really figured out how to design gamepads. So game companies were trying to find ways to put arcade joysticks on things, and there's just no really good way to do that, unless it's an arcade machine. Or unless you build it into a brick like one of the giant Street Fighter controllers or something. So here I am using it for Frenzy, and it's just exhausting to hold this thing vertically with one hand and then try to aim with the other. Not to mention, it's extremely touchy. If you want to shoot left, you'd better aim exactly where it wants you to aim. Otherwise, it'll shoot diagonally. So it's not too bad for some games like Gorf. It actually works pretty well for Gorf. But Ladybug is downright unplayable because it requires too much precision, and I constantly felt like I was just wrestling with it to keep it straight in the first place. So it's not bad for Gorf, and actually it works pretty well for Q*bert. So if you're living in 1982 or 1983, you might want to consider this, if for no other reason than it does play Q*bert better than the standard COLECOVISION controller. And Q*bert's a pretty awesome game, so there's nothing wrong with that. It also played Burger Time pretty well, which you saw at the beginning. It works okay for Defender, but it's not great. It's just kind of an exhausting controller. The best way to use it is to drive it into your leg for additional support, which stabilizes the joystick. Quick! Everybody into the helicopter! I'm saving you! Not because I care, but because I want the points. It's worthy of the name Super Action Controller because it is better for some games like Frogger. And it's definitely better in a bar fight. So a huge thanks to Ben from Buffalo, New York for sending this to the show. Is it as super as a plate of hot buffalo wings that play games? Well, I don't know because I don't think that exists. But it is super action-rific, the COLECOVISION Super Action Controller. It's better for some games than others, but damn does it look cool. Drop him out of the helicopter so fast if it would give me a bonus. But it doesn't, because I'm fighting for freedom.